RacerTV.com and GNCC Live as we continue our coverage here from Marvin's Mountaintop and, of course, the halfway point of the 2014 AMSOIL GNCC Series presented by Maxxis and AMA National Championship as we get set to roll with our 4:30 show. A little bit postponed today, but nonetheless, the riders and teams are lined up and they're ready to go. So we got nearly 60 teams getting ready to tackle the course here at Marvin's Mountain and what we call the Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com Mountaineer Run GNCC. Lots of sunshine, beautiful afternoon, temperatures near 80 degrees, and of course, as we said, lots of riders getting ready to roll as the XC1 modified class is going to be our featured class here today, along with the XC2 and the XC3 classes. But in that XC1 modified class, our top 5 points holders as we season here at the halfway point anyway. The number 3 car coming in with the first place pick in positions on the start line, and that of course is the Big Country Power Sports car from Tompkinsville, Kentucky. That is John Yoakley and Jared McClure. John Yoakley, the nephew of defending champion William Yoakley, and of course McClure, an ATV racer that raced just a few moments ago. Also on the line, the number 1 car, that's Polaris National Guard of William Yoakley. Also the 808 of Scott Kiger and the folks in Coastal National Guard, the 611 and the 09 also out there with us as all attention now turns up to Ricky Tower in this first row of our UTVs getting set to roll here from Martin's Mountaintop. As we turn our attention to Ricky Tower, he lets these riders know it's time to go GNCC racing in 10 seconds for row 1 of the XC1 modified. UTV racing here at our Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com Mountaineer Run GNCC. Starts are on Keys turn, I should say, and we've got the Coastal car out front first off, and that is Scott Kiger grabbing the early lead in this one. Will he be able to maintain? That question remains to be answered as row 2 gets ready to roll in this one. Some of the cars including the 41 of Can-Am JB Off-Road, Tim and Julie Farr, and more. Waiting on Ricky Towery's call. We see also the number 6 car out there with us, Team Trials, Olin out of Pittsburgh, Frank Olander and Craig Vanderhoof as the dust burrows up there. The 46 car of Crash Addicts out of Bartlett, Ohio. Trevis Pointer and Dustin Deutsch getting the early lead in this one. 10 seconds for our 3rd row. Rolling next. Row 3 still in our XC1 modifieds. The 990 Zakowski Motorsports sponsored and team driver Zach Zakowski grabbing the early lead in this one. He's a Can-Am factory backed ride and out of Sherwin, Wisconsin, and he's got Jack Zwires running shotgun with him. 10 seconds for our next row. Still in the XC1 modified classes. Green flag waving on this one as we are off and rolling now, and the 33 car getting a great jump off the line in this one. That is Loud Racing 33. Richard Curley and Christopher Murray grabbing the early lead in this one. Off the start here on Martin's Mountaintop. XC1 modified getting set to roll next. This is actually our maybe XC2 modified. This should be maybe getting closer to row 7 now. Let's look down through some of these names. 949. See if we can pick back up here with the next row. This is the last row of XC1. Row 6. Okay, that was row 5. Row 6 going next. And green flag waving on this one. As they do, the cars are off and rolling. 724 car. I think I got a little ahead of Ricky that time. 724, Loud Racing 724 out of Somerville. That's William Dipple and Casey Mullins riding shotgun in that one. Now here we go to our front row of the XC2 Limited class. 10 seconds once again, the call here for our UTV pilots. Green flag waving and the cars are off. 711 is looking like the early leader in this one. That's Team Force. Two limited second row is set to roll next as hearts begin to pound once more. A little bit of a gap in this one as we let some of the dust and cars separate out there on the track, and the 421 gets a great jump off the line there. And that may actually be a late entry. I don't have the 421 car on my sheets. So XC2 Limited rolling again. I believe this should be our third row of these. Less than 10 seconds to go now as Ricky Towery makes the call here. Green flag waving. Row 9, that is our third row of XC2 Limited, the 919. Again, must be a late sign. I'm not on my sheets as we go to our next row. Row 10, this is the fourth row of the XC2 Limited. '21 car getting a good jump off the line there, it looks like. And we'll carry this into the first turn. Looks like Penland Racing, Raven Gap, Georgia's Mike Penland and Leo Musciano Ducuvine as your co-pilot in that one. XC3 lights rolling next. And that's the Zentner car, 198. Must have it. Don't have him either. And our final row right here is going to be the Novice Limited, row 12, ready to roll in less than 10 seconds now. 5, 5, 5. Trying to get on that one. I believe that is KR4 Arrive and Ride. Lancaster, New York's Robert Vandemark and Ronnie Rush. Big Ronnie Rush. That's the father of the young man that races that 125 junior youth class out there, or senior youth class. Well, that right there, folks, is pretty much got us said to the heart and meat of things as far as the UTV racing is concerned here at the Mountaineer Run GNCC. And, of course, we're going to be picking back up with the action live from the finish line and the Race Day Studios. Chuck LeMaster going to be joining us here in just a few moments when we return on GNCC Live.
They're the best. RacerTV.com. Check out all the action from the AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Series presented by Maxxis and AMA National Championship. With live race coverage every week and weekend wrap-up shows, RacerTV has everything you need to know about the fastest riders in the woods. It's all on RacerTV. All racing, all the time.
Twins have notoriously been very hard on crankshafts because that big long stroke with those two cylinders just flexes the crankshaft around. So we were seeing bearing issues. Research development people at AMSOIL could show us that it was likely an oil problem. And they were correct. That was the issue. Instead of having to redesign the engine, I just had to do a better quality oil.
Sometimes you come across something so different, you just have to stop and check it out. The Rocky Mountain ATV MC website has everything you need, from our huge selection of tires, ATV and UTV accessories, and OEM parts, to our online chat, customer reviews, and instructional videos. Our extensive inventory means most orders arrive in 3 days or less. Get low prices, quick shipping, and incredible customer service. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Find your flow with Maxxis tires.
Evans waterless coolant solves your overheating problems. The high boiling point of 375 degrees and low vapor pressure means the coolant stays in the engine and cooling your machine. Randy Hawkins of the Ampro Yamaha team has been using it for 5 years. In fact, you'll find Evans in the radiators of most top. Visit
RacerTV.com as our continuing coverage of the Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Mountaineer Run GNCC rolls on here with our UTV coverage. Rodney Tomlin along with our GNCC pastor from Team Faith, Chuck LeMaster, who is also a racer extraordinaire himself, racing ATVs, motorcycles, and these doggone things right here, the UTVs, the side-by-sides. As we pick the action up here on lap 1, not real sure right now, Chuck, who our current leaders are, but what we can take a look at right now is our front runners, and they are in a sticky situation. Look at this. They're getting stuck. They're getting stopped. They're having to back up and make turns. This is a tricky place for these UTVs, and this could cause a lot of crazy things to transpire throughout the course of this race today.
Their way through the trees, and as they do this, you can tell right there we've got looks like the chain that might be Tim Farr actually.
Yeah, and actually that's only probably 50 yards from the finish line. There's a little wood section that is right here by the finish line itself, and I think that's where those riders are getting tangled up there. I remember that from last year actually, and I imagine that it's a lot tighter this year. It looks a lot tighter this year.
Didn't you ride shotgun in a car at this race last year?
I rode with Team Hendershot, the JB Can-Am racing team with Larry Hendershot, and we were leading physically. We started on like row 2 or something like that. We were leading physically and on adjusted time when we lost both rear wheels. We lost one rear wheel. We rode like a lap and a half, almost 2 laps on 3 wheels, and still led the race. And then somehow or another we were coming into that little section right there that we saw those guys having to back up, and we lost the last wheel, and we drug it across the finish line for the white flag and pulled off the racetrack.
And that was it for you. Well, we just actually saw Larry coming through that tight section here a second ago. It looked like he was moving pretty good. I talked to him at the start.
Look at that tree. They're snapping
they
trees
just
and everything.
Mowed it over.
That won't surprise me to see some of those trees actually laying over when it's all said and done right there. Man, that is a tight turn, to say the least.
These guys are going to have to find a quick way through here, because what's happening, you see 5 cars bottled up right here.
Right here, I think we're seeing it happen. It's going to be an outside thing. You're going to have to swing out way wide and kick that car sideways
to get through, because what's going to is people are going to start to panic, and that's when cars start to get broke and wheels start hanging off.
Yeah, there goes the 2-car team making its way out through there. I know that we got William Yoakley in the 1 car, and 3 car is
his nephew,
John
Yoakley.
And I've got my other paperwork here someplace. I must have left it out there on the ATV. But regardless, right now at the finish line, here's the way things are breaking down. Let's go ahead and give you an idea of what's going on. Leaders came in, checked in with an 8:45 lap time. I'm going to say this: that was your leader. 10:07 for Kyle Cheney, the second place team. What I'm going to say about this is, Chuck, they actually already went through this section of the track once off the start, so the lap times will probably be a little shorter from this point on. And I'm figuring with 10-minute laps now that we may see that shorten up to closer to the 8s that we're seeing there with Pointer. But anyway, Trevis Pointer, according to scoring calculations aboard the number 46, has the lead right now. Kyle Cheney out of Pataskala, Ohio, the 8 car is running second. Bill Patterson, the 14-car driver, is in the 3rd place position. We got 4th place Mouse Pratt. That's the number 2 car.
There we go, yeah. And this is actually it looks like it's his best drive of the year so far. He's had trouble in the first 2 races. But it looks like he's really where he wants to be right now, holding down that number 4 spot, at least on lap number 1.
Scott Kiger, the 808 car on the Coastal Drilling Machine. That's a Factory Polaris back team as well. That is running in 5th place right now. William Yoakley, your defending champion, all the way back in 6th. And a couple of things we might want to point out. We've seen this all too often, I think. Yoakley seemingly buried back in a pack, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th place even at times it seems like. But somehow or another,
he's able to rise to the occasion before the race is in and find himself in a contention for, if not the overall win, at least an overall podium.
You know, the thing that I have learned about William Yoakley is he's a very patient racer. He has learned to let the race come to him. And that might go back to his early days in UTV racing when back in about 2008, 2009, I remember coming around the track one time and seeing him with a tree wedged in between his rear wheel and his rear fender, and it took him all race. They finally had to get a chainsaw and cut that tree down, and I think since then he has learned to just be patient, know that he's got the skills to do what needs to be done, let other people make the mistakes, and let the race come to him.
All right, according to timing and scoring, Pointer and Cheney and the boys should be in about 4.5 minutes. I'm going to have to think. I'm not real sure where we're at, and I know that we're probably going to have a lot of changes because of this situation right there. Look at that, backing up into that tree. That's going to cause for bent parts, broken wheels.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of variables. Look at that tree right there, already taking the abuse from the cars trying to hug it and back into it, and that guy right there, I think, had the best
line. He was able to wiggle that car through. Slow but sure. I mean, in a situation like this, it does not pay to be in a hurry, because that's when parts start falling off your car, right? Exactly like that.
That's exactly
the 906 car of Accusonics Racing, piloted by Jim Lohman. His claim to fame there in that shot, unfortunately. The folks back at home are cheering him on for sure.
Woo! I can just see them all around the computer screen or the big screen smart TV back home watching this on RacerTV.com. Woo! Cheers in the air right there.
Here's another section of the track. Our screen just shifted, and you can see these rocks. Now, at the beginning of the race, a lot of the guys were talking about the dust.
They grow them up here.
Out in the fields, they were wondering if they were going to have to deal with some dust. But no, what it is just like you said, these rocks that grow here in West Virginia. And you can see how rocky it is, and it's very important that these guys choose good lines and take it easy on their cars, because the tires just aren't going to be able to take that kind of abuse.
All right, 21 car checking in right now. That's Mike Pinlan,
That's
by
Mike
the way.
Pinlan, yeah.
He was leading. He actually got the whole shot in his class, I think like the XC3 or XC2 Limited. He got the whole shot on his line, but he's running 24 seconds off pace right now. We'll try to break it down for you class by class. That looks like we got most of them in now. XC1 Modified is Pointer, Cheney, Bill Patterson in third. It is Pratt in fourth. That's Mounts, and Scott Kiger in fifth. Ooh, look at this. Only one can fit through at a time, boys. Scott Kiger followed by William Yoakley, Justin Fleming in seventh. Brian Buchanan, who raced the 4x4 Pro class this morning, runs in eighth. Jamie McCoy ninth, and Matt Roll rounds out your top 10. XC2 Limited, Mike Jenkins leading out of Johnstown, PA. This is the car driver that we're giving you, not the passenger, but we'll try to pass that information along to you shortly as well. But John Henry running in the number 2 spot. Marcus Pratt is running third. We got Rich Travelina in fourth. Chris Brockway is fifth. John Klutz sixth. Mike Pinlan in seventh, so he's seventh in his class. Michael Swift, who's an a 4x4 Pro class rider in a Factory Polaris, is running in this XC2 Limited. He's eighth. Andy Bezek, the 813 and ninth, and James Lohman rounds out your top 10 XC2 Limited. XC3 Lights, believe it or not, we haven't seen them check in for the first lap complete yet, Chuck.
No, but what we are seeing on our screens is a lot of carnage as the camera pans around the track. We've seen a broken tie rod right there, actually, on our screen. The driver had to get out and inspect and say, well, that's the end of that race. And that's the thing about this kind of a course with this many tight trees and sharp rocks, is it's really a test of your equipment.
Crash Addict still leading this one, about 17.5 minutes into a scheduled near 1 hour race event here at the Mountaineer Run GNCC. High atop Marvin's Mountain. Again, for those of you folks that may be just joining us, we are just outside the home headquarters of Racer Productions, the promoters and producers of the AMSOIL GNCC series by Maxxis. And of course, as the crow flies, we're probably less than 15 miles away. Time-wise, on these windy West Virginia roads, a little bit longer, maybe a half-hour drive, if that, 25 minutes or so, but literally in our backyard.
Depends on whether you're pulling a trailer or not.
That's true. I was pulling a trailer coming in, so that does make a lot of sense. But Man, I mean, we talked about it earlier with Fred Andrews during the ATV racing, Chuck, and I know that you weren't really introduced to GNCC racing until last 6 or 8 years or so, but this right here, these kind of tracks, this kind of terrain, this close to Morgantown, West Virginia, is how this series all got its start some nearly 40 years ago, believe it or not. And I mean, it has only progressed into what it is today, year after year after year. And I can recall announcing races in Clarksburg, West Virginia, Parkersburg, West Virginia. I remember going to Crow Canyon in Ohio, a motocross track, very famous Ohio facility up there, and several other places around that we used to go to. Even Sparta, Kentucky was a part of that, but that was kind of toward the end of the old school days, I guess you could say. And Sparta was a member of the new era that took place probably about 10 years or so ago. But regardless, you know, we've seen a lot of changes and a lot of great things going on over the course of time. But this is how GNCC got started. Real close to Morgantown, the West Virginia, Pennsylvania area. Uniontown not far from where we are. We can see the city lights of Uniontown from where we're at. So we are, what I say, at a true homecoming as far as the GNCC Racing Nation is concerned.
Absolutely, because if you look at the entry stats, at least 50% of the racer population comes from West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Ohio. This corner of the East Coast, it has more racers coming from this area than anywhere else in the country. And you would think, with the beautiful sand and the tracks down in Florida and Georgia, that there are a lot of racers coming from there.
I mean, we've always said it over in southern Ohio, I know, and we can lay claim with West Virginia and part of Pennsylvania also. This is where the best riders come from, period. I mean,
and I can believe it. I mean, you come
especially
out
off-road. In the off-road racing world, you look at off-road champions, a lot of Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia riders in that. And even on the national motocross circuit, over the time, there used to be a lot of riders from around this region as well. So
for sure.
a very big hotbed, the East Coast hotbed there for a long time as far as motorcycling was concerned in the whole industry. And here we are with UTVs. I mean, we've gone one step further. Four wheels, we're still in 4 wheels, but we got passengers now, Chuck.
Yeah, and roll cages.
And roll cages. So I guess with age comes cage. We're all getting old in the GNCC Racing Nation.
That's what it is.
We had to produce something for everybody to have fun in.
That's right.
I'll tell you what, nearly 21 minutes now into this race. Real quick, Doug Bigelow and Adam Dalton checking in the XT3 Lights class, so we've got some of every class at least checking in, and 2 laps nearly complete for our leaders, and we'll check back in with them when RacerTV.com's GNCC Live continues here from Martin's Mountaintop.
Twins have notoriously been very hard on crankshafts because that big long stroke of those 2 cylinders just flexes the crankshaft around. So we were seeing bearing issues. Research development people at AMSOIL could show us that it was likely an oil problem. Correct, that was the issue. Instead of having to redesign the engine, I just had to do a better quality oil.
Machine that combines precision engineered handling, industry-leading power, and a rider-focused design. We call it a Can-Am. From the essentials to fully loaded, you'll find that same combination in every ATV and side-by-side we build. And right now, get your own for as low as $149 a month. Can-Am, the ride says it all.
Find your flow with Maxxis tires.
And we're back to GNCC Live.
What a shot to come back to.
Oh, man.
Talk about wedging the tree in between your fender and your tire. I mean, we might watch it happen here.
Oh, wow.
Well, there goes Mike Penland, the number 21 in the Can-Am machine. It looks like he's making up some time, a smooth line through that tree section.
I think at this point, it's a matter of just being able to just get around the track, and I think you're going to do fine in some classes, or most classes, because a lot of these guys are losing the war. A battle against themselves and nature, banging into the trees and rocks and everything else. I've seen the broken tie rods, seen these guys stuck in these trees. So, and this is a different section than what we saw a few moments ago.
Exactly, even. But this is by far the tightest section that we faced this year. This is round number 3 for UTV racing on the GNCC series, and by far, this is the tightest and most technical track that these drivers have had to face.
I can remember last year when I rode with Larry Hendershot, we never went that slow at all.
No, because typically the tracks are built to be wide open, let these cars breathe a little bit, but every once in a while, you gotta put the drivers to the test.
Yeah, you do, and that's a good change-up for these guys, because I know that, like I said, we lost the 2 rear wheels in the car that we were driving, and there were a lot of parts along the trail. Actually, I saw Larry last night. He says, "Man, you ain't gonna believe this." He pulls up and he pulls out a piece of fender. It has a Maxxis sticker on it. He says, "You remember?" He said, "That come off our car?" I said, "I don't doubt it." He said, "No, it did. That's part of our car from last year." And
he found it here.
He found it on the trail Friday night when he was walking.
As he was walking the track. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But what I was alluding to is the fact that a lot of cars took a lot of abuse, and they do every round. And that high-speed section. Now, there are some high-speed sections out on the other side of these woods. That's where those guys are really making the speeds of 60, 70 miles an hour out there. But right here, it's pick and go. Choose your lines wisely, because this is where the race is won and lost. You think speed has a lot to do with it, and it does. But right now, in Masontown, West Virginia, here on Marvin's Mountaintop, this kind of driving right here is what's going to be critical to winning these races and finishing the race, I think, today.
Finishing and keeping your car together. Now, it was a 3 years ago that you rode with me.
Yeah.
And it was in Pennsylvania, and it wasn't too terribly far from here. Very similar terrain, a lot of rocks, and one of our major concerns was getting the car to the finish line.
Yeah.
Maintaining our pace and keeping the car together and not ripping tires off.
Exactly.
And that's what these guys are having to face too. And the guys that aren't concerned about it, we're seeing them on the side of the trail right now.
Or at least less experience, have not experienced.
There you go.
You know, UTV racing is becoming a very huge sport across the nation. There are a lot of different venues, different types and styles of UTV racing that are at hand. And GNCC probably one of the more unique whenever it comes to putting you in the types of terrain that we put you in, basically like a motorcycle, like we did with the ATVs. Let's run it, boys. Let's see what happens. And they do a great job with it.
And that's what these cars were built for, was these kind of elements.
Yeah.
And that's what the manufacturers had in mind
exactly.
when they designed these
Exactly.
vehicles.
We've actually helped the manufacturers by letting them know where the weak points on these cars are.
for sure. Yeah, most certainly.
2 laps down right now. Cheney. Larry Hendershot now moves into the number 2 spot overall. He's 24 seconds down now. Kyle Cheney is not your physical leader on the racetrack right now. Your physical leader is Scott Kiger, the 808. He's leading physically on the racetrack, but on time adjustments, Kyle Cheney, Larry Hendershot, and Tim Farr, multi-time dirt track and ATV motocross champion, GNC champion, I should say, Grand National Championship, not Grand National Cross Country.
Right.
Tim Farr, also the, believe it or not, I know this to be fact, he is responsible for the Hondas that we see racing out here on the track today. He designed those back in the early 2000s. They've been using them since like 05, 04.
Yeah.
I think they've used the same design, haven't changed it a bit, and Tim Farr is the one that designed that. Here's another interesting note about Tim Farr. Tim Farr also designed the KTM ATV that was so popular a few years ago whenever KTM made the big 4-wheel push, and he's actually has credit for designing that particular machine and bringing it to the forefront as quickly as it was done.
I did not know that, but KTM, when they wanted to come out with a 4-wheel machine, they came out with it.
They did.
And Tim Farr, knowing that Tim Farr was involved in that, now makes a lot of sense.
It does it not? I mean, you can't, there's very rare, even for KTM, to step into the ATV market and to be competitive like they were like that right off the get-go.
Yeah.
I mean, you know they had to have a major ace up their sleeve, and it was Tim Farr. And he's running third place here in the UTV racing, and I laugh
with
with
him. Good for him. I talked to him in the beginning of the race, and he had a bad crash at the last round and actually bent his frame. And so he had to go home and put it on a frame rack, straighten it out, and now he's driving that same car and making it roll like it should.
Well, there's Tim Farr, a half second behind Kyle Cheney, who is now your physical leader on the racetrack. Those guys have moved into the physical and adjusted time lead. Farr a half second back. We got Trevis Pointer, who was an early leader in this, another 0.4 of a second behind Farr. So they literally came in nose to tail, or as Bjorn Hammer likes to say, wheel to wheel. They came in and they checked in and they left the finish line just like that. And there was only 7 seconds now back to Scott Kiger, who has dropped to 4th physically on the racetrack, and 7 seconds after the time adjustments have been made out there.
Looks like he's followed closely by William Oakley, just 3 seconds back.
Now, we lost one up there in the front. Larry Hendershot, it looks like.
That's right, yeah, and he's dropped back down a couple positions, down into 7th place.
At least. He hasn't even checked in for his 3rd lap. There he is right now, the 44 car coming in, Hendershot. Now, after time adjustments, remember, they start on different rows, so there's time adjustments out there. Hendershot is actually 4th place on the racetrack.
Oh, there you go.
On time adjustments. Not on the racetrack, but on time adjustment. Now, on the racetrack, he's like, I think that would put him like 8th place on the racetrack physically.
I think so, but he started in the 2nd row, 2nd or 3rd row actually. He's not had actually it was the 3rd row. I talked to him on the starting line, and he has not had the season that he was looking for. He's had a rough go of it, and he said today is going to be his day.
Yeah, and last week was his week. I think he was racing some A-Works, but the last couple of weeks he says they finally got that car around. JB Racing, the Can-Am team captain over there, Jody Bateman, they said that they built a car, they got a couple cars built, and they took one home with them to just do the testing that they needed to do. And he was so stoked about what his chances are coming into this one, especially after last week's racing, and he's finished 2nd there last weekend, I think he said. So that's definitely a step up in the right direction. And right now, 4th place in this crazy UTV series, that's a good place to be, and I think he's biding his time. Now, last year, we were all, as they say, balls to the wall. I mean, if you were watching an old engine, the way those balls used to spin out towards those cylinder walls like that, that's exactly what it'd be doing. They would have probably been sticking straight up. They were going so fast, man. I mean, that guy had that thing pinned, to say the least. Right now, he is in the 4th place position, and we have a lot of drivers and teams checking in right now, Chuck. And at 31, almost 32 minutes into this race, the guy's still stuck out there. At nearly 32 minutes into this race, we've got still a lot to go, and we'll get you up to speed on who's where and what and who's doing what in our Mid-State Chevy Midway Report coming up right after this.
Twins have notoriously been very hard on crankshafts because that big long stroke with those 2 cylinders just flexes the crankshaft around. So we were seeing bearing issues. Research development people at AMSOIL could show us that it was likely an oil problem. And they were correct. That was the issue. Instead of having to redesign the engine, I just had to do a better quality oil.
Sometimes you come across something so different, you just have to stop and check it out. The Rocky Mountain ATV MC website has everything you need, from our huge selection of tires, ATV and UTV accessories, and OEM parts, to our online chat, customer reviews, and instructional videos. Our extensive inventory means most orders arrive in 3 days or less. Get low prices, quick shipping, and incredible customer service. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get
Find your flow with Maxxis tires.
Evans waterless coolant solves your overheating problems. The high boiling point of 375 degrees and low vapor pressure means the coolant stays in the engine and cooling your machine. Randy Hawkins of the AmPro Yamaha team has been using it for 5 years. In fact, you'll find Evans in the radiators of most top GNCC machines. Go to evanscooling.com for more or visit their Facebook page for the latest updates.
To Marvin's Mountaintop, it is round number 7 of America's Premier Off-Road Racing Championship, the 2014 AMSOIL GNCC, presented by Maxxis and AMA National Championship. And this is our UTV racing here at a Rocky Mountain. The age cages, however you want to break it down, it is all-out war out there on the racetrack right now, where Kyle Cheney continues to, has moved into the lead now, with Tim Farr moving into the number 2 spot. Trevis Pointer, who was running in the number 1 spot, has dropped now to 3rd after 3 laps of racing complete. Our leaders on adjusted time are less than a second apart through the top 3. Trevis Pointer followed in by Larry Hendershot. Now, Hendershot's big problem here is he's 39.5 seconds behind whoever was in front of him. And that's not a good sign. And that very well could be maybe Tim Farr or Pointer or maybe even Cheney. It might be all 3 of those guys in reality.
Right, and what he needs to do is latch on to somebody and start working his way up physically, so that he can have a clear track to keep making up this time, because it's really hard starting on the 3rd row. He's starting with some drivers that probably aren't quite as fast as he is, but due to his luck this year, if you want to put it that way, he's back there with some slower traffic. So he's got to thread his way through there, get up there, get some clear air, lay down some fast laps, and get closer to the physical overall, so he can close that time gap.
Well, Larry Hendershot's lap time last time around was 9:47. Your leader, Cheney, was 9:31. Tim Farr, though, turned a 9:24. So Farr, in theory, is probably right now in the lead on the racetrack right now, if he was able to get around Cheney in the physical aspect.
Which is a tough thing to do, because they started on the same row.
Yeah.
There's not many passing lines here. Both of these cars are fast. They're not going to, it's not, when it comes down to a drag race in the field, not one of them is going to have a significant advantage over the other. It's going to come down to driving skill and lane choice in tight stuff. And sometimes there aren't lane choices.
Right.
So
there's not much of a choice for lanes out there.
The best thing he can do is put pressure on from behind and force a mistake so that he can get around.
And there's lots of opportunities for mistakes, it looks like, out there. If we look a little closer right now and watch we saw the cars getting tied up by themselves, and like you say, put a little pressure on them, it could tie them up a lot tighter in those tight woods that we are seeing. I'm looking down through the results right now. Cheney, Farr, Pointer, Hendershot, Scott Kiger in 5th, William Yoakley in 6th. Right now, Kiger 7 seconds behind Hendershot on adjusted time, and William Yoakley another 3 seconds behind him. I'm beginning to wonder, even with 23 or so minutes, 22 minutes left in this race and a couple laps of racing, I'm wondering whether or not the Coastal boys are going to be able to get it going, Kiger and Yoakley, because they're having some problems. And even a bigger question for me right now, where's John Yoakley? Where is the number 3 machine?
The Big Country Power Sports. Yeah, we haven't been talking about him at all, and he is our current points leader.
Yeah, we have not mentioned his name one time, and I look down through the roster right here right now, and 13 car, 33, there's a 6 car. I don't see him in with the first lap complete so far, Chuck, unless I'm looking at this completely wrong. I think that we might have issues for the current point leader. And talk about blowing things wide open. His uncle and defending champion, I think second in points, are close to it anyway. William Yoakley cannot take advantage of a real advantage of it right now. Scott Kiger can't take advantage of it right now, with those guys being so far back in the pack. Just an interesting thing starting to unfold here at the halfway point of the series. Now we're 7 rounds in for the motorcycles and ATVs. This is what, 3 rounds for the UTVs?
That's correct.
And I believe this is the halfway point for the UTVs also.
So, and coming into this race, William Yoakley was 7 points behind his nephew, and now that his nephew is so far back in the pack, he probably will make up those 7 points, but he's given up a lot of points to other drivers.
9:35 lap time that last time around for Kyle Cheney, the 8 car out of Pataskala, Ohio. That pulls him ahead of Tim Farr now by 24.8, call it 25 seconds. Scott Kiger, remember we were talking about him a moment ago, and this may change after time adjustments because Trevis Pointer just moved him out of third, back into fourth now. So Trevis Pointer, the 46 car, still holding steadily in third. He's 18 seconds behind. Scott Kiger now drops to fourth. Actually, Larry Hendershot
just came through.
That's what you were pointing at.
Yeah, he has closed the gap. I could see it before the timer even caught it. That he is making ground.
Wow, look at this. Cheney, Farr, Hendershot. Lap times 9:35, 9:52, 9:39 was Hendershot's lap time. Pointer at 10:12. Scott Kiger at 9:58, now fifth place after 4 laps complete. And again, the way these guys are sending him down through the ranks after time adjustments, you got to wonder, will even Kiger be able to hang on to even a top 5 ride right now? And those are valuable championship points. I know we want to win, we want the podium, but at this point, man, it's a matter of salvaging what you can. I think that might be the place that William Yoakley's even in right now in that National Guard Polaris car.
Yeah, because he hasn't checked in yet on his 4th lap yet, and that's kind of unusual. We've actually got fast guys, as we would say, and he's got that clear air, and it's going to be interesting to see what he can do in these next 2 laps if he keeps his car together.
Well, we got about 7 minutes before the, I believe, white flag will come out. Did you say the 2-lap board is out, I think? Yes, it is. So 2-lap board is out. So this looks like that'll be a 6-lap race when it's all said and done. And yeah, man, I mean, wild how far spread out things are starting to get here. Late in the race, we're about 20 minutes out from checkers, 19 minutes from when we would expect checkers to go near that 1 hour mark right now. But wow, again, I'm amazed, I'm excited, I'm just so many things and bamboozled all at the same time, because where are these guys? Where is Yoakley's? Where are they? They're normally battling for a top spot on the podium.
The 408 of Matco Racing, Stephen Matco has already checked in ahead of William Yoakley. We're still waiting on our current reigning champion, William Yoakley, to check in with 4 laps complete. As it stands right now, we only have 6 drivers that have 4 laps complete.
Wow, could that be an indication? I mean, that's a small percentage of even 60 teams out there, I think.
I think we have 60 cars out there right now, and only 6 of them, 10%, have completed 4 laps, and we're still waiting on Yoakley to come through. He would be the next guy due in on 4 laps.
Well, there's Mouse Pratt coming in.
Yeah. It appears, folks, that we have lost our champion, William Yoakley.
Wow, that's not a good sign. That's good news for John Yoakley. That's good news also for Tim Farr, Larry Hendershot, Trevis Pointer, Scott Kiger, and the rest of these XC1 modified teams, and everybody that's racing for the overall, actually.
Now, I think I just saw the number 3 car of Big Country Power Sports physically go through the finish line, but I haven't seen him show up on the screen yet.
That might have been the 333 of Devin Steedley. He was the last guy through there a moment ago. Yoakley has dropped down to 9th place. We still haven't seen him come in. And here's another interesting point to ponder. Only 56 cars of the 60, so we did pretty good. Only 56 cars have 1 lap. 53 cars have at least 2 laps. As you look a little further, only 40 cars have 3 laps in right now.
40 cars, that's 2/3.
Yes. So I think the war of attrition is starting to take its toll on these
certainly,
vehicles.
Man. About this point in the race, about halfway through, is when we really find out
this is when
machines are going to be able to go the distance.
This is when you want an excellently prepared car. This is whenever, like what we were talking about the first round when we were talking about the KR4 Arrive and Ride program.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I was talking with the guys down there. They're actually doing a raffle. They're raffling off an opportunity to drive the car, and they're doing it, it's not the most inexpensive thing. It's a lot cheaper than going out and buying and building the car and everything yourself. But what they're doing, they're giving you a chance. They're only selling like 50 opportunities, I think. And they're buying, you got to buy a chance, and 50 chances, I don't know how, I forget how much it is. Something like $100, I think, but they're only selling 50 of them. That's to pay, basically cover the cost of that ride. And they're going to give somebody a chance to ride and drive in Ohio at the John Penton GNCC, and they're going to actually draw that day at 1 o'clock. So
oh, wow.
If you buy a ticket, you better be there in hopes that
you better be there. And I'm sure that, actually, I know those guys, they have the equipment that you're going to need, the fire suits and all that. That's definitely a good idea.
It most certainly is. And there goes one of the wheels. That's how the rear wheels start to break off, and where you start seeing these cars lose those wheels out there on the trails like that.
We're dragging part of an A-arm on that car.
So Cheney, Farr, Hendershot, Pointer, Kiger, your top 5. Matko in 6th. Mouse Pratt is 7th. Sean Bogdan is your 8th place ride. John Henry, the steel driving man, running in the 9th place position. And Devin Steedley rounds out the top 10. Marcus Pratt in the 11th. Pat McGuire is the 591. That is one of the KR4 Arrive and Ride cars. He is 12th place right now. He has 4 laps complete. Zach Zakowski, 13th with 4 laps complete. And 14th, Frank Olander. 15th is Charlie Rogers with 4 laps complete. And William Yoakley has dropped to at least 16th place.
At least. And we have yet to see him come through. So
yeah, 17th now. Charlie Rogers, actually a couple of other guys, one other guy checking in right there. So man, tough break there for champion contenders. You got to wonder, will this do anything as far as the championship is concerned? Will we see a different face to the national numbers next year, I'm wondering?
Yeah, well.
I'll tell you what, Mouse Pratt's really happy to see this happening right now because he's had his problems, and he's the number 2 car we're talking about there. And Pratt, he could use this big break as far as the championship points race. The only thing is, there's other guys that are looking at and using this big break in the points race also, and a number of these guys can use this to their advantage that have been finishing. I got to get those results in the point standings right now, but I believe Big Country Power Sports is your points leader. You got William Yoakley in the Polaris National Guard. Coastal National Guard was 3rd. Game On, Matt Roll, Can-Am rider. I got to find out about this guy.
6'11". He stands to benefit from this if he can make it happen, but it doesn't look like today's his day either.
No, he's all the way back in 19th place position, and he's still working on lap number 4. Now, that's not to say that things won't change for him, but
you know who's going to benefit from this? It's Scott Kiger. Even though he's not up there in the top 3, he is still in a
and the 8 car. I think
and
of
the
Kyle
number 8
Cheney.
of Kyle Cheney.
Yeah, your leader. He was 7th coming into this one right here.
Cheney and Kiger, I think, are going to benefit. Cheney for sure. If he continues to lead this race and gain those 30 points that you get for an XC1 win, that's really going to boost him up in the standings. We're going to have we're going to have a big shakeup at the end of this race.
That's huge. That is very huge. Yeah, Big Country Power Sports, Polaris, Coastal, Game On, Can-Am Parts Plus. Yeah, where is the number 9 car of Brian McCann? I remember looking down in that first lap, he was way back in the top 10, and now he's back in 15th place with only 3 laps complete in that XC1 modified class. That's not a class that is, again, big favors for Kyle Cheney and even Tim Farr. Farr, as we look down through his standings, let's see, I think that, I was thinking he was actually one of the front runners out there out of Massillon, Ohio. Yeah, there he is. He's 6th place. He's 6th place. He rides the Can-Am JB car, the 41 car. So Tim Farr's another one. So the point max mix-up is going to be monumental. And you know what that means, Chuck? That means these final few rounds are going to be really exciting. When we go to the John Penton, and whenever we finish it up at the Ironman GNCC, man, you got to know that when you win this championship, if you win, you definitely did something big.
You fought for it.
You did.
Yeah. Whoever that's going to be.
I'm not even going to make a call. Last year I called William Yoakley out halfway through the season, and he turned around and came back and won the dang thing.
You can't count that guy out.
No.
We've learned the hard way on that. I think all of us have learned the hard way on that one. But you can't count any of these other guys out either.
Now Chuck, let's look at some of these cars as they come in right now. We're 9.5 minutes leaders due in. We're 48 minutes. I believe white flag is out. Kyle Cheney just checked in. That was the 8 car that went through. So the white flag is out.
There's Tim Farr.
There's Tim Farr.
There's Cheney physically in 3rd place.
Kiger.
I'm sorry, Kiger.
Kiger is in. Trevis Pointer checks in. Scott Kiger drops to 4th. Remember, we had that little mix up there, and when Larry Hendershot checks in, we'll know more. We're going to wait on Larry here and see whether or not he's able to cut the mustard there in the top 3 still.
Mike Penland just rolled through the finish line. Was that his 4th or 5th lap?
That was lap number 4 for Mike Penland.
Okay, so he is 1 lap down physically.
There's the 44 car of Larry Hendershot. This is the guy we're waiting on right here, right now. And
he is flying.
Look at this.
He's driving.
He is. He is, and as he takes that, he moves and holds solidly in the number 3 position. Says 33 seconds down. Lap time 9:40. Tim Farr 9:42. Kyle Cheney 9:55. If these lap times are any indication, it's going to heat up over this last lap. Again, lap 5 in the history books. Working on our 6th and final lap. Kyle Cheney, Tim Farr, Larry Hendershot, your top 3 with Travis Pointer and Scott Kiger rounding out the top 5 here on Marvin's Mountaintop Mountaineer Run GNCC. We'll be back with more UTV racing on GNCC Live right after this.
Twins have notoriously been very hard on crankshafts because that big long stroke of those 2 cylinders just flexes the crankshaft around. So we were seeing bearing issues. Research development people at AMSOIL could show us that it was likely an oil problem. And they were correct. That was the issue. Instead of having to redesign the engine, I just had to do a better quality oil.
What do you call a machine that combines precision-engineered handling, industry-leading power, and a rider-focused design? We call it a Can-Am. From the essentials to fully loaded, you'll find that same combination in every ATV and side-by-side we build. And right now, get your own for as low as $149 a month. Can-Am, the ride says it all.
They're the best off-road riders in the world, and they're coming your way every day on RacerTV.com. Check out all the action from the AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Series presented by Maxxis and AMA National Championship. With live race coverage every week and weekend wrap-up shows. RacerTV Riders in the Woods. It's all on RacerTV. All racing, all the time.
Find your flow with Maxxis tires.
Evans waterless coolant solves your overheating problems. The high boiling point of 375 degrees and low vapor pressure means the coolant stays in the engine and cooling your machine. Randy Hawkins of the AmPro Yamaha team has been using it for 5 years. In fact, you'll find Evans in the radiators of most top GNCC machines.
Welcome back to RacerTV.com and GNCC Live from Marvin's Mountaintop, just outside of Masontown, West Virginia, for our 7th round of AMSOIL GNCC Racing, presented by Maxxis and AMA National. Chuck LeMaster, our GNCC pastor, right there with us. And Chuck, again, we are in the midst of this 3rd round of UTV racing. And, man, we've already seen a lot of great things taking place and transpiring. Kyle Cheney out front, Tim Farr working his way up into the number 2 spot. The big surprise, not so much a big surprise, but kind of shocking over the last couple laps. He's made some big advancements quickly. We're talking Larry Hendershot up into the number 3 spot, turning the fastest lap so far at 9:40. Now, Travis Pointer, that was on that last lap. Travis Pointer actually did a 9:25, so that wasn't the fastest lap. So Pointer's back into this.
Pointer's back in it, and he was our leader early on.
Yeah, so he was leading early. He's back into it. He's in 4th place right now, and Scott Kiger rounds out the top 5 in that class. Then we got Matco, Steedley, Pat McGuire up to 8th now in that KR4 machine. We got Frank Olander, and Mouse Pratt now has dropped to 10th. As we looked at the XC2 Limited, this is a class we haven't studied a whole lot, but John Henry, that steel driving man, has moved up to the #1 spot now, it looks like. He's got 5 laps in now. Time adjustments will tell us. Actually got around Sean Bogdan the last time around. Bogdan was your leader, so he's taken over the physical lead in that class. And looks like time adjusted as he's got about 20 seconds over Marcus Pratt, the #4 car. Bogdan would be in 3rd now if he checks in. Chris Brockway, Michael Swift in 5th. The Deutsch boy, Tim Deutsch out of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, running in 6th. John Kletz in 7th. Rich Chavalina 8th. Matt Traber in 9th. And Jamie Held rounds out 10th. That's your driver.
This is our points leader in that class, Jamie Held. So he's having a rough day, it looks like.
Big mix-up in all the classes, it looks like, as well. XC3 Lights, Doug Bigelow leading that one aboard the 314 out of Sharpsburg, Maryland. He was 3 minutes 44 seconds behind Adam Dalton. And Dalton is 2nd place now. However that figures, I don't know. But Dalton out of Morgantown, West Virginia, I thought they all started on the same row. So maybe there's something kind of wacky there. But then again,
looks
maybe
like
not.
We've only got 3 cars checked in that class. So.
Yeah, Dan McConaughey's the other team driver that's checked in out of Holly, Michigan. One team that hasn't checked in this class, and that is Touch of Red, I believe it is. Is that
3% red?
3% red, that's it. Vicky Fowler, the mother of our ATV XC1 and overall winner from this afternoon's race. Now, what an exciting battle we saw right down to the checkers in that
all the way to the very end.
But Mama is evidently getting to go celebrate a little early with her baby son because
we don't see her on the list.
Either that or she's hanging out in the woods having her own party saying, Walker, sorry, I can't. Whatever the case, but
can't cook the hot dogs tonight. I'm out here.
Yeah, we're maybe Walker's probably. I'd say Walker's probably making a trek out through the woods right now trying to find her. Hey, Novice Limited, by the way. Robert Vandermark. Actually, this is a class that she's in. Michael Lyon. Oh wow, Mike Lyon has switched to the cages now. Mike Lyon's
how do you like that?
A GNCC racer for years out of Rogers, Ohio. He's running 2nd right now. Blake McDaniel is
actually
3rd.
Vicky's number 723.
Oh, really? So maybe.
Yeah, I think Mike is actually her passenger.
So maybe they got that switched up.
We got that switched up. So she,
Well, turn that frown upside down,
there
folks.
you go.
Vicky Fowler and the 3% Red's doing maybe a little better than what we thought.
Yeah.
Wow, what we got here, we got leaders in there. Should be coming to the finish line region now. That's Pratt, I believe. That was your 10th place car. We see, he's back. He's still in 10th. He's your XC2 Limited 2nd place car in that class. John Henry, the steel driving man, 13 cars, 7th place overall right now. Leading
7th place
leading
from the XC2 row, which is about 10 rows back off the start. So lots of traffic to get through, and boy, he must just be driving the wheels off that machine right there.
Well, checkers should be coming out any time. We're 49 seconds due in for the leader and almost 58 minutes into this race itself. Watching the finish line region right now as checkers getting set to wave, and Ricky Towery, both those flags in hand.
Now remember, they have that really tight section before the finish line here that hopefully the cars have figured out a good line through that section by now, and should not be a factor on this last lap.
Should not be.
And yet we wait.
Yet we wait. And Digital Dave from Race Day Picks, our race day photographer here, he's waiting too, he says. Waiting on the leaders to check in. Well, according to calculations, should be about 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And they are due in. Here comes the 711 car right now around the final few turns.
And here comes our leader.
And there are the checkers. And this will be our first physical rider across the line, the 8 car of Kyle Cheney.
And he's got enough of a gap.
And he should have more than enough of a gap. Yeah. I think this is a nose-to-tail battle for 2nd coming in.
Oh, and Hendershot was all over Tiger at the very end there. So on adjusted time,
Hendershot
where was
didn't even
Tim
score.
Farr?
Tim Farr is 2nd.
Okay, he did come through.
He was 0.6 of a second behind Cheney. But you said Hendershot went through there, right?
Yes,
and
he did. He did.
But he did not score on the scoring computer, at least according to my scoring computer.
So we're going to have to wait a second for the hand scoring.
Yeah, I've got to wonder if whether or not maybe he would have taken the overall 3rd place position. And coming in that close, How far was he won the same
or
row
maybe?
as
We're looking through a haze of people and through dust as we look at the finish line here from the announcer's tower. So we might still be waiting on Larry Hendershot, as my eyes may deceive me.
That might have been the 41 car. Yeah, it was. There's the 44 car we're seeing come in now. That was the 41. It looks a lot like the 44. Okay. Well, so Tim Farr, but Scott Kiger currently holds on to third, but here comes Hendershot through. Now there's the 44 car.
There's the 44, okay.
See, man, I guess that's blindness is hereditary. You must be getting my blindness.
Oh, no.
Larry Hendershot does it. He takes third place, folks. So Cheney, Farr, Hendershot, 1, 2, and 3. Scott Kiger able to salvage some very valuable championship points as he is scoring over both William Yoakley and John Yoakley, who are leading those leading this division and the overall. Wow, what a race day, man, and what a finish, to say the least. And it's still coming in. There could still be some changes. We'll know more whether or not there's going to be changes coming up here in just a few moments. As we check back in, we'll wrap up our day of racing and UTV racing from right here at Marvin's Mountaintop when GNCC Live continues.
Twins have notoriously been very hard on crankshafts because that big long stroke of those 2 cylinders just flexes the crankshaft around. So we were seeing bearing issues. Research development people at AMSOIL could show us that it was likely an oil problem. Instead of having to redesign the engine, I just had to do a better quality oil.
Across something so different, you just have to stop and check it out. The Rocky Mountain ATV MC website has everything you need, from our huge selection of tires.
Find your flow with Maxxis Tires.
Welcome back to GNCC Live on the Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com Mountaineer Run GNCC, Round 7 of America's premier off-road racing championship in the world-renowned AMSOIL GNCC Series, presented by Maxxis and AMA National Championship. And again, coming to a close here today, the UTVs, the side-by-side, their third round of the 2014 season, and we'll be heading over to the finish line podium here in just a couple moments, where we'll be meeting with Chuck LeMaster, and he'll be talking with our top teams here in just a few moments. And it's always exciting to get a chance to talk to these guys after these races, because the driver has one perspective and the passenger always seems to have a little different perspective, and that always kind of puts a new twist and different twist on things as far as the podium presentations are concerned. And it's a very unique style sport too, with GNCC and UTV or side-by-side racing that we have. And we're glad that you folks make your way here on RacerTV.com. And I'll tell you folks, while we wait, reminding you of a few upcoming events. Tonight at 6:30 on NBC Sports Network, we have our second round. The General GNCC is going to be broadcast live, or not live, but the tape delay broadcast is going to be broadcast on the NBC Sports Network, and that's at 6:30 tonight. That's the General, round 2. Tomorrow we continue with the Mountaineer Run, the bike motorcycle racing right here at GNCC and Marvin's Mountaintop at 1 o'clock. 2 weeks we go to the John Penton GNCC for, of course, Ohio's own John Penton ATV, UTV, and motorcycle races, as our fourth round of UTV racing will be coming at you then. 1 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday for ATVs and motorcycles, and once again around 4:30 for the UTVs right here on RacerTV.com. Get ready as we take a look at the upcoming RacerTV.com schedule and RacerTV schedules with NBC Sports and RacerTV.com. I tell you, folks, looking at the way things are scoring right now, again, we got Kyle Cheney taking the win. Cheney out of Pataskala, Ohio, I believe a JB Can-Am factory ride, if I'm not mistaken. Tim Farr, also a JB team out of Massillon, Ohio, the 41 car. We talked about this guy and all the things that he has offered to the off-road racing world through the ATVs and motocross and GNCC with building the Honda machines that are raced today and building the KTMs that we saw a few years ago. Larry Hendershot, also the team driver.
Check.
I was part of that team last year that nearly won the race, but we came up a lap short and 2 wheels short at the same time. But that's neither here nor there because Larry makes it happen here in 2014, and I believe that Chuck is standing by down on the podium right now as he's got our top 3 ready to talk about today's race day.
All right, welcome back to the Mountaineer Run. I'm here with Larry Hendershot, our third-place driver in today's UTV race. Larry, congratulations on a job well done today. What do you have to say for your drive today?
Thank you. I'll tell you what, I don't know how I could have driven the car any better. Big thanks goes out to Jody from JB Racing and Can-Am. These guys put us in a heck of a car today. This thing was on fire. Ran into some lappers back here. I think maybe it set a little better time if it wasn't for that, but we had a great day, and I am thankful to be in third place.
Well, Larry, you've had a rough, it looks like this is round number 3, and the first 2 rounds didn't exactly go your way, and we know that you can drive, and today you showed us that you could drive, but talking with you at the beginning of the race, you said that you've been making some changes to your car. Obviously, that played into your favor today. Your homework is paying off, and you gained some valuable points today, but to start the day off with, were you in row 3 for the start?
Yep, row 3, so we had to go through a lot of traffic to get to the front.
Well, that was a job well done. Now, who's your co-driver here?
This is my dad. This is Larry Senior. He's been my co-pilot my whole career.
That's right, the whole time. We've seen both of you guys around here. Larry, what do you have to say for today's race? How was it in that seat over there?
I'll tell you what, it was really exciting. It was really a good track. It really was. I mean, there was some tight technical areas in it, and then there was some go-fast places, and really made it exciting. And we didn't have a lot of mud to fight either. Every place we've gone so far this year, we have fought the mud terrible, and today it was dry and fast.
Well, congratulations. I know that there was a lot of people that put you up here today, so who do you want to say thanks to?
Oh, gosh, I hope I get them all right. First and foremost, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Second's going to be Can-Am. Jody from JB Racing, him and my dad has been working tireless hours getting this Can-Am on the podium. I think we're there now. I'd like to stay up there the rest of the year. RacerTech for all our awesome parts, Fox suspension for our great shocks, ITP for the tires. These ITP tires are awesome. And then there's just tire balls. Thank goodness for tire balls. There's some big rocks out there today, and that's the only way to finish one of these races is have a set of tire balls in there. Yoshimura for the engines. The thing ran great all day. Just everyone. I'm sure I'm forgetting several, but there's a big list, and thanks to all of them.
All right, well, thanks a lot for participating in today's race. It was fun to watch you guys work your way through the pack. We wish you well. Rodney, I'm going to turn it back over to you in the announcer's tower, and we'll go round up our second-place finish.
All right, thanks a lot, Chuck. And, yeah, Larry Hendershot, Larry and Larry. The Larry Senior, Larry Junior there, if you will. And, yeah, Larry Senior, the co-pilot, all except for at least last year here at Mountaineer on GNCC where we didn't finish. Maybe he meant of all the races he's finished, his dad's been his co-pilot. Second place, though, looking for the 41 car, another Can-Am ride. By the way, it's a Can-Am sweep here today as JB car, another JB car is right there in contention with this one. The second place, the 41 of Tim Farr out of Massillon, Ohio. And here's another point to ponder. Not only are all 3 Can-Ams, but all 3 teams come from Ohio. So I come from Ohio, too. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything, but I'm just saying, you know, take a look at the odds right there anyway today. Massillon, Ohio, as we said, is where Tim Farr comes from. Now, he and his wife generally ride together. Julie Farr is his co-pilot. And, you know, in talking with Tim, she seems to offer a lot of great advice to him and some good suggestions. He's even told me, actually, she's told me that she's picked out a few lines for him on a couple occasions. We'll head on down with Chuck LeMaster. Maybe he can get to the bottom of that.
I'm standing here with our second place finisher today, Tim Farr, driving the number 41 machine here. Tim, you had a great race today. You made it look easy. How did the race actually go for you sitting inside the cage?
Well, I didn't get such a good – I actually got the whole shot in my row, and then I tipped in the first corner. I went into the woods third, and, man, it was tough all day. Like, it was not easy. The track was really – it was technical. It was fast, a lot of big rocks and stumps everywhere, and a lot of dust. There were times when it was just like literally closing your eyes. You couldn't see anything. So you just kind of say a little prayer and hope you were going towards the direction you wanted to.
Well, you said something there that you started actually on the second row, and to work your way from the second row through all the traffic, third into the woods for that row, and still 5 or 6 cars ahead of you to work into, you must have really been doing some driving.
Yeah, I think we had a good pace. Kyle got by us early in our row, and he was rolling, and we got in his dust, and I mean, it was too sketchy to try to run hard in the dust. You had to back off and wait for it to clear. But we got by a lot of the front row guys, just kept charging, and he had some misfortune, I think, in the last lap where he got stuck behind a lapper, and we got right up on him, so we were right behind him, and then we got stuck behind some lappers that he got by. So it's kind of just give and take. It was a great race. First lap, I got clocked with a big branch, broke my goggles, and thought it knocked me out, man, for a second. But I was kind of loopy and just took some deep breaths and kept charging.
So was he loopy? I mean, more than normal?
He didn't look like it. He was still driving awesome.
Well, it sure didn't look like it to us either. I'm glad that you're all right. We're all glad you're okay. Well, great job today. Go ahead and introduce the folks at home to your co-driver here.
This is my wife, Julie Farr.
All right, Julie, any interesting tales from today?
I don't know how he did it. It was blind out there a lot of times. The dust was brutal, so he's a great driver.
That is so good to hear. Well, I know that it took a mountain of people to get you here in this position at the Mountaineer Run. Who would you like to say thank you to?
The JB Racing crew, Dave, Jody, all the guys back at the shop. Man, they do a great job. Can-Am, you know, they supply us with these awesome machines. I mean, it's a full Can-Am podium this weekend. We've been working hard on them to get them to this point, and I think we're obviously there. Fox shocks, ITP wheels, or ITP tires, DWT wheels, RacerTech products. Gosh, there's so many people. Yoshimura, Orai. Gosh, I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot, but there's so many people that make our effort awesome, and we couldn't do it without them.
All right, well, good job today. We're pleased to have you up here, and we look forward to seeing you at the next round, John Penton.
All right, one more, though. Maxon Construction, they do a great job for us, and SSI decals, too.
All right, well, excellent, folks. Rodney, sending it back to you for just a moment.
All right, thanks a lot, Chuck LeMaster. And, again, folks, those of you around the track tonight, don't forget Chuck and the folks over at Team Faith are going to be hosting a dodgeball tournament for kids of all ages. So come on over to the Team Faith Transporter there on Bender's Row for that. Good times to be had. And don't forget chapel services also tomorrow morning at 8:30 right there at the Team Faith Transporter. Right now, the 8 car is what Chuck LeMaster is looking for, as we told you, and even Tim Farr alluded to there just a moment ago. It's a Can-Am sweep on the podium. It's also an all-Ohio podium as far as the UTV racing is concerned, and Kyle Cheney was able to hold on to the win in this one. Lap time last time around, still turning and clicking off some fast things there. A 9:33 lap time. Again, the fastest we saw was a 9:25 at one point, and that was turned, I think, on lap 5. But John Henry turned a 9:29 that last time around, your XC2 limited class winner. And he got all the way up to 6th place overall. So way to go, John Henry. And speaking of winners, let's head back over to our XC1 and modified and overall winner, who's standing by with Chuck LeMaster.
Back here at the finish line with our #1 finisher, Kyle Cheney and crew. Kyle, man, that was just a phenomenal race that you put on today. You didn't have the lead going into the woods at the very beginning of the race. It looked like you had a little bit of work to do to catch up. How did the race go from your view of the cockpit?
Man, the car was working awesome, and we started in the second row, and I think we were like third off the whole shot. Tim Farr kind of messed up, kind of got on 2 wheels, and we got by him behind Travis, and Travis was setting a fast pace, and we caught up to the first row half the track. And he made some passes, and I made some passes with him, and he made a mistake, and I got around him, and I just started picking him off, and the rest is history.
Well, we got to ask, because the folks at home watching this on RacerTV, watching it live, most of our camera shots were in the woods, and we saw a lot of rocks. We saw a lot of slow-moving vehicles. Were there also, but yet we see dust all over your faces, so obviously there had to be some wide-open field sections.
Yeah, once we got out into the fields, it was super dusty. The woods was awesome. The rocks were pretty treacherous. I mean, by the end of the race, all the rocks showed their faces, and, all the dirt came from around them, and it was pretty bad. I was probably another lap, my rear wheel probably wouldn't have made it.
Well, it's a good thing that we threw the checkered flag when it happened, that this is the 1 hour mark, because you literally were driving the wheels off of this machine then.
Yeah, it worked awesome, man. My Can-Am today, 3 Can-Ams on the podium today, I think, so it's a good day for Can-Am.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it looks like your co-driver here has a big grin on his face too. Go ahead and introduce the folks back at home to your co-driver.
Yeah, this is Chris Bithell. He didn't have a real good day today, but I got him on the podium.
Okay, that makes him feel really good, doesn't it? Yeah. For the folks back at home, this is XC1 Pro ATV racer Chris Bithell. We've seen him on the podium many times before, and it's also pretty cool to see him here in the UTVs. Also, Chris, tell us about your day in this event.
I love this. I love it. I think more and more every time I get out there. But yeah, we just rode today. I mean, Kyle never really got riding out of his head or driving out of his mind or nothing. He kept his head today. And sometimes I like to keep pushing him to go faster and faster, but we just kept picking people off. Somewhat easy and consistently. And I just said, just let him do his thing, let him drive. But in them fields, I try to help him out a little bit, because I've been out there already on my 4-wheeler. And I knew some of the turns and stuff, and I hope that I helped him out and stuff. And when he couldn't see, I was trying to be his eyes to kind of navigate a little bit. So I try to help out there. I'm not just hopefully I'm just not a co-pilot. Hopefully I actually contribute.
Well, it doesn't sound like you have the typical control issues of a racer sitting in the passenger seat. Sounds like you're actually doing something constructive, and whatever you guys did today, it positively worked out well in your favor. And congratulations to you once again. I know it took a lot of people to get you here today. Who would you like to say thank you to?
I'd like to thank my dad and my mechanic, Marshall. I've had a busy couple weeks since the last race. I haven't had time to do nothing. They've worked on my car all day, all night. It's all they are. That's all they do, sit out in the garage and work on my car. You wouldn't believe how much work it takes to, get one of these, to a top level and, make them stay there for the whole race. My Can-Am worked awesome. Turnkey UTV, Fox shocks. I'm sure there's a lot more on there that I missed. Yoshimura, SSI decals, ITP tires. I'm sure there's a lot of other ones on there. I'll figure them out one day.
Yeah, well, I know that you've got them figured out, because when you get home, you'll certainly be sending out those race reports and thank you emails and texts. And so thank you so much for being here today. Great job on your racing. Congratulations. Rodney, I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to you in the studio to close out this edition of Racer TV at the Mountaineer Run here in West Virginia.
All right, thanks a lot, Chuck. And as Chuck says, man, that's going to do it for us here from the Mountaineer Run GNCC. Don't forget, we'll be back on bright and early tomorrow morning, or not tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. And don't forget, also coming up at 6:30 tonight on NBC Sports Network, you can check out the General GNCC there on RacerTV on NBC Sports Network. Well, as we said, that's going to do it. It's going to wrap things up for this day of broadcasting. On behalf of everyone here at the Mountaineer Run GNCC, the Grand National Cross Country Championship Series and Racer Productions, as well as RacerTV, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day, everybody.